Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be another favourites video, and this is going to be my autumn favourites, so not necessarily relating to this season of autumn, but just things that I've been loving over the past couple of weeks or months. As always, it's a complete mix of things. I don't have too many beauty things, but I do have a few more lifestyle bits and pieces this time, so I hope you guys enjoy, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I have three beauty favourites to share with you, and all three of them are actually palettes. So I have an Hourglass one, I have a Tom Ford one, and I also have a Charlotte Tilbury one as well. And these are making me excited to start experimenting with makeup again. For me, it's very easy to get stuck in makeup ruts because I'm often in a rush when I'm getting ready, and so I'm not always in the mood to experiment. You know, I just want to grab the nearest thing which I know is going to work, and I'm not going to need to redo anything again. And so for that reason, when I find something that works, I will stick to it for 6, 9, 12 months, and which means that I'm not always very experimental with my makeup. But I don't know if it's because of all the amazing beauty sales that have been happening or all the amazing collections, but I've been really excited to start trying out new products, and these are the ones which I've really been liking so far. So first up is the Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow quad in Uptown Girl. I actually got this last year, but I feel like it was at the beginning of 2016, but I haven't used it much just because I don't think this is a particularly summer appropriate palette. It's definitely a little bit more festive because there is a lot of sparkle, so if you don't like sparkle, maybe this one isn't for you, but I've really been enjoying it for nights out. I think it's super pretty. I generally tend to go for cooler shades rather than warmer shades just because I think they flatter my skin tone a little bit more, but this is genuinely so lovely. Really pretty champagne colours, and then these really nice smoky greys with a little bit of a blue tint as well. Really lovely. You can do a really pretty smoky eye, and it's just been a favourite, and I love Charlotte Tilbury anyway. I find all her products really high quality. And then the next is something that I just got, so I've only just started using it, but I've been loving it so far. It's what I'm wearing on my eyes today, and it is I've still kept the plastic on. I don't know why I like to do that. I like to try and keep the plastic as long as I can, even though I've already used the eyeshadows. I'm silly like that, but let me get it off so you can see the eyeshadows properly. That is what they look like, and they're just very nice neutral shades. I don't usually go for super warm browns. As I mentioned, I'm more of a cool tone kind of girl, but these aren't too warm, which makes me really love them. You do have a brown, but it's more of a kind of taupey shade, and you just have really pretty kind of neutral shimmery colours. It has a little bit of shimmer, but not anywhere near as much as the Charlotte Tilbury, and this is just perfect for every day. You can really smoke it up to do quite a dramatic eye, or you can just do simple, you know, washes of colour, and it'll be perfect for daytime as well. So I can already tell this is going to be a new favourite of mine. I've really been loving it. And then I have the Hourglass palette, which is just the prettiest palette I think I've ever seen. It was always going to be very blogger friendly with the marble, but the insides are just as impressive as the outside. I've totally fallen in love with this. I do own another ambient lighting palette as well as individual powders, but I still think this is worth getting. It's also just perfect for travel because you can do your whole face. So I contour using this. I use this as an all over powder, and I mix the two blushes together, and then I use this as a highlighter, and that's my whole face done. It's just so easy. You don't need to bring any other products. My one little complaint about it is that when I use quite fat brushes, so for example a brush I use for contouring, it's quite big in relation to how much you get in there, so you do have to kind of angle it a little bit, but it's quite minor and you can definitely work around that. And for me, this is just such a pretty palette. So it is on the pricey side, which is why I hesitated a bit, but I do think it's worth the money even if you do own other powders. And yeah, just a really lovely one. So I would definitely recommend getting this before it sells out. Just beautiful. So while I said I only had 3 beauty products, what I actually meant was 3 makeup products, because I realised I do actually have other beauty products to share. The first one is a hair care product, and I showed this in my morning work routine. It's by Phyto, if that's how you say the name, and it's the Repairing Thermal Protectant Spray for Weakened Damaged Hair. And I pop this on just before I use my heat protectant, which is right here. And this is just a really nice extra step which makes your hair feel a lot more silky smooth, and also adds another layer of heat protection as well. And because I heat style my hair so much, I feel like I could do with as much heat protection as I can get, and if it's gonna make my hair more silky and more smooth, I am all on board, and this product really does deliver. It's not a miracle worker by any means, but I think it's a really nice way just to make your hair feel and look a little bit nicer. I also think it does something as well, because from what I know of the brand, they really care about, you know, the condition of the hair rather than just putting a band-aid on it. So I have really been liking that. I've been using it every day, and I mean, I don't feel like it's lasting me super well, but at the same time I still think I would repurchase this because I do think it's making my hair a bit healthier and protecting it a bit more as well. Then I also wanted to share the 2 perfumes that I've been wearing. I've been getting quite a few questions about my perfume collection and asking if I can do a whole video on it, and to be honest, I am not really much of a perfume girl, and if I were to do a video on it, it would be a very short video because I literally only have 5 perfumes and I only use 2 of them. So I thought I would share the 2 perfumes I do actually wear. I think I have spoken about these before, but for those of you who didn't see that, so the perfume I wear on a daily basis is the Jo Malone Peony and Blush Suede. I tried this earlier in the year, or was it last year, and I just totally fell in love, and this is what I use every single day without fail. It's the prettiest scent. It is quite feminine and floral, but it's not too sickly sweet. I'm not really a fan of really sweet scents, and this isn't that at all. It's a really lovely fragrance. I have the candle in this as well, and I would happily have the entire range because it's that lovely. So this is my go-to and I would recommend it to anyone. And then for special occasions, I mentioned, I think in my last video or in a very recent video, I use the Toca and the stickers come off, but this is the Brigitte fragrance. This is definitely a special occasion fragrance to me, not because it's more expensive, because I actually think the Jo Malone might be a bit more expensive, but it just feels like a special occasions fragrance for me, and so I always like to save it for, you know, anniversary date nights or Christmas or something like that. But this is a really nice one. It's a little bit more heavy, so it's not something that I'd wear, you know, on a casual summer's day, but it's a really pretty fragrance. And these are the only 2 that I use. I do have 3 others, so I have Clinique Happy, which I used to wear a lot and I still do when I remember to. It's just not a favourite. I don't like it as much as these 2. And I also have 2 other fragrances which I just don't use much anymore. So yeah, those are my 2 daily ones, and these are permanent favourites for me. I always go back to them. Next up, I'm going to have kind of a multimedia section. I don't think people use the word multimedia anymore, but I'm going with it, and I actually don't think a book would count as that anyway, but anyway. So the book that I've been loving is The Confidence Code, and for any working women out there, this is a must read. I got recommended by Amazon, I think, about this book, and I've really been loving it. It's such a good read, and it definitely follows on from Lean In, so if you haven't read Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, I definitely would recommend reading that first. It's not a sequel or anything, I just think that they work better if you read this second, but this has really helped me see some of the things that I do to perhaps unintentionally sabotage myself. So for example, literally last week I was on a conference call and I wanted to say something, and instead of just saying, "Can I add?" I felt the need to apologise first. So I said, "Sorry, but can I add?" And I caught myself as soon as I did it, because they talk about that sort of thing in this book, and I just thought to myself, why on earth did I apologise? I thought, well, I still think my point that I made was very valid, and there was no reason for me to apologise, but it was just the way that I'm used to speaking, and I felt the need to say sorry but first, and I don't think it was a huge deal to anyone else, but I think over time those things can really make a difference in how people see you, and this book really tackles why women in particular do that and the steps you can take to kind of combat that kind of behaviour. So it's a really worthwhile read. I've really been enjoying it. I'm almost at the end now and I've already tried to start implementing some of the tips, and yeah, it's a good one if you're in a professional kind of work environment. My 2 other so-called multimedia favourites are a TV show. So I mentioned this in the vlog I did the other day, but I've been watching The Crown with my mum and we have both been loving it. It's so good. It's available on Netflix, and if you like that kind of historical drama, although it's quite recent history, you will definitely enjoy that. It's really well filmed, it's well acted, it's compelling and gripping, and it's just been so good. So would highly recommend The Crown. And the other thing I've been loving is Ariana Grande's new album. I think it's new anyway. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not someone that really keeps up to date with current music, just because I don't have a way of finding out about current music. I sometimes see it on YouTube, but I don't usually get recommended those kind of videos, and I don't often go on iTunes, and I don't really watch the TV, and I don't listen to the radio, so it's difficult for me to find new music. But I did decide to download Ariana Grande's new album because we booked tickets to go see her in May, which I'm so excited about, and that was just off the back of me knowing a few of her songs before and really liking them. But because I did that, I wanted to download the whole album, listen to it, and I've been loving it. It's definitely very pop friendly, so if you like that kind of stuff then you might like that as well, but definitely a favourite of mine. Next up are the boots that I've been loving. I haven't made the switch to full length boots or like knee length boots yet, just because I try and save those for the dead of winter, because when it gets really cold there's really no going back, and I don't tend to wear ankle boots when it gets really cold, just because I can do with all the coverage I can get because it's that cold. So I try to enjoy ankle boots for as long as I can. I am going to have to make the switch, I think, to knee-high boots maybe next week, because it is getting cold in the UK. But the ones that I've been loving, no surprise here, the rag and bone boots. I feel like I talk about these a lot, so I'm not going to go on about them, but just such a great boot. I've been really loving them, and definitely my favourite purchase from the Nordstrom anniversary sale. Would highly recommend. I think they're still available and still on sale, so definitely check these out if you're after something like that. And then the second favourite are a pair of black boots, and I got these last year from Carvela at Kurt Geiger. I have hair. Remove that. From Carvela at Kurt Geiger. I'm sure they have something similar. I doubt these exact ones would be available still, but I will have a look to see if I can find them. But these are just a really solid pair of boots. They're very comfy, and they have a little bit of padding on the sole, which is a godsend. They're so much more comfy because of that, because quite a few ankle boots, for some reason, they make the sole really hard, and I don't know why they do that, but these have padding, so with the addition of socks as well, these are the comfiest things. So they're amazing. They do, oddly enough, have a faux zipper, so this is the actual zipper, and then they have this one which is just for show, which I don't really understand, but anyway, apart from that, I think they're absolutely fantastic, and these are pretty inexpensive as well. I think they're about £60 or £70, which isn't super cheap, but it's definitely not crazy money for a pair of leather boots, so love these. I will try and find something similar if I can. And finally, I'm going to share the two bags which I've been loving recently, and the first one I almost feel embarrassed to talk about because I feel like I talk about it so much, but it's the Perito, and this is genuinely what I've been using it. Even though I call this a summer bag, I don't even care. I am happily using this in autumn winter. Such a beautiful bag. It definitely needs a bit of a clean now because I haven't cleaned it once since I got it, so I need to go over it with some baby wipes, but just still such a solid bag. I was using my Saint Laurent taupe. I managed to spill something on the interior. I don't even remember doing so. I just noticed it a few days ago, and I don't know what happened. I do sometimes carry groceries in my tote bags, which is why I like tote bags, and apparently that bag is not made for that, so I'm going to see if I can clean that, so I'll keep you updated if I manage to, but for that reason I switched into this, which is a lot less high maintenance and just an absolute favourite of mine. So still loving the Perito, still going strong with it. And then my second favourite, which is more of a going out bag, is my Chanel boy bag. This is always kind of a favourite for me, but I've been loving it even more recently. I think maybe because it's turned a bit colder, so I've been wearing slightly darker colours. Sometimes in summer I feel like this bag can look a little bit heavy, especially with the ruthenium hardware, and Dan's comment about it looking like something from Game of Thrones, he said, or like a medieval water bag. So that's kind of stuck in my mind, and so I feel like this is slightly more appropriate for autumn winter, and I've been enjoying it a lot as a result of that. So really loving it. The lambskin is still holding up really well for those of you interested. I'm really glad I went for it in the lambskin. I was a little bit worried about how often I'd be able to wear it, but so far there are absolutely zero signs of wear and tear, and I do prefer the look of the boy bag in the lambskin because I think it looks a little bit less severe. So really such a favourite of mine, and just a beautiful bag, even with, oh my goodness, the crazy price increases. So for those of you who don't know, Chanel had another price increase in the UK, and it was a huge one. So I think we've had 3 really major price increases in, I want to say, 3 months. So the Chanel Jumbo is £4,500 now, which is just insane amounts of money. So I'm very glad I already have my boy and I already have my favourites, but yeah, Chanel, a whole nother level. If you want to know all the up-to-date prices, I will try and update my blog post in time, and then I'll leave the link to my kind of Chanel guide blog post where I do list the prices in the description bar as well. And that's it for this favourites video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. I did also want to mention that pretty much every week now I also do a favourites post on my blog, and that one's a bit more casual, so it's pretty much what I've been eating, what I've been buying, what I've been thinking about over the past week, and I just kind of compile it all in a fun little blog post, usually on Fridays. They're called Friday favourites, but sometimes they are Sunday favourites like they were last week. But if you want to check that out, I will leave my blog down below. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and please let me know what you've been loving recently. I would love to hear about it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.